Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Anupma Biology Classes. In this video, we will focus on some important question answers related to the living world. Here, we will focus on NCERT exercises with answers, additional questions, short answer questions which is related to CBSE class 11th. Now, let's start the question answers. At first, some NCERT exercises with answers. So, the first question is, why are the living organisms classified? There is a vast majority of organisms which differ very greatly in their form, structure and mode of life. To find out a desired organism of known characters from vast array of plants and animals, the organism must be classified into groups. So, living organisms are classified mainly to avoid confusion, to make a study of organism easy and learn how to various organisms are related to each other. Scientists classified living organisms into different kingdoms, phylum, class, etc. and are based on different criteria, rules and principles that allow identification, nomenclature and finally classification of an organism. The next question is, why are the classification system changing every now and then? So, as we know that there exists two classification systems, that is plants and animals, which are proposed by Linnaeus at the former stages of the classification system. However, it changed to four classifications, and at present 5 classification systems are in uses. Now, people are also classifying using 8 orders of classification, that is domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. Overall these years, 1,000,000 plants, animals and microorganisms were found on the surface of the planet Earth. They have been identified by the scientists. Also, until today, people are traveling in search of new species on the surface of the earth due to the reason that the knowledge of different novel organisms has given the science a reason to modify the system of classification. To categorize these species which are discovered recently with the new characteristic, new system of organization have to be developed now and then. Thus, these circumstances create the obligation to modify the prevailing arrangements of classification. The classification system have experienced more than a few changes with the changing time, and it is the reason that today we have 5 classification system in use. So this is the reason why the classification system changing every now and then. Now the question is, what different criteria would you choose to classify people that you meet often? So, the various criteria that may be chosen to classify people include morphology, numerical taxonomy, behavior, and geographical distribution. So, what are these? So, first one, that is the morphotaxonomy. So, what is morphotaxonomy? The classification of organisms according to their morphology is known as morphotaxonomy. Now, the numerical taxonomy. So, numerical taxonomy is a classification system in biological systematics which deals with the grouping by numerical methods of taxonomic units based on their character states. After this, the behavior. The way in which an animal or person behaves in response to a particular situation or stimulus. On this basis, we can categorize a people. And after this, the last one, that is the geographical distribution. The natural arrangement and apportionment of the various forms of animals and plants in the different regions and localities of the earth. So these are the different criteria would we choose to classify people that we meet often. Now, what do we learn from identification of individuals and populations? Identified individuals show morphological and behavioral variations. These variations are randomly distributed in species populations through sexual reproduction and environmental interactions. So, the knowledge of characteristics of an individual or its entire population helps in the identification of similarities and dissimilarities among the individuals of same kind or between different type of organisms. It helps the scientist to classify organisms in various categories depending upon the similarities and dissimilarities. Now define a taxon. A natural taxon refers to a group of similar genetically related individuals having certain characters distinct from those of other groups. So, it is a general term, that means taxon, for a grouping in a systematic classification of organism, whatever its rank. For example, all the insects from a taxon, so do the fishes, frogs, lizards, birds, algae, fungi and grasses. Now, some additional questions related to the living world. First one, that is the define systematics. What is systematic? Arrangement of organism into an appropriate system is known as systematics. So, systematics is also defined as the science of diversity of organism in evolutionary context because it involves the shifting of unity from diversity through comparison and it creates order out of disorder. What is taxonomy? So, taxonomy is the rules of classification, and taxonomy is the branch of biology that deals with the framing of laws and principles of classifying the organism on the basis of their evolutionary relationship. Now, name the three main systems of classification. So, what are the three main systems of classification? First one is artificial, second is natural, and the third one is phylogenetic. So, what is natural system of classification? What is artificial and what is phylogenetic? So, first we see here the artificial system of classification. The artificial system of classification was based on the presence or absence of few morphological or vegetative characteristics that were used for grouping of organism or differentiating one group of an organism from another. The second one, that is the natural. The natural system of classification is a type of classification in which properties such as morphology, cytology, phytochemistry, embryology, and anatomy are applied to find similarities and affinities among organisms. And the third one, that is the phylogenetic. So, phylogenetic system of classification based on the evolutionary ancestry. It is based on the evolution of life and shows the genetic relationships among organisms. Now, who devised the binomial nomenclature? So, the name of the scientist is Carolus Linnaeus. He explained this system in the 10th edition of his famous book Systema Nature, which is published in 1758. So, the name of book which is written by Carolus Linnaeus is Systema Nature. The meaning of this is it is made up of two words, names, and it is at present used in all the countries. Now, the question is, what is a type specimen? On the description of which species name is established is known as type specimen. So, a type specimen is a specimen selected to serve as a reference point when a plant species is first named. As a result, These specimens are extremely important to botanists who are attempting to determine the correct application of a name. Now, which type of classification is based on the evolutionary and genetic relationships of organisms? So, this is phylogenetic. So, we know that phylogenetic system of classification is based on the evolutionary and genetic relationships of an organism. Give the number and names of obligatory taxonomic categories. So, the number is 7 and the taxonomic categories are at first kingdom, then phylum, then class, order, family, genus, and last one is a species. So a species is the smallest and the last category, and the first category is kingdom. What does the abbreviation ICZN stand for? ICZN stands for International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. Why are the scientific names derived from Latin or are Latinized? Because Latin is a dead language. Therefore, there is a little likelihood of changes in meaning and spelling of names with time. What is a polytypic genus? Cite one example. So, a genus containing more than one species is known as polytypic genus, and the example is Panthera, Equus, etc. Now, some short answer questions. So first one, this is here. Name the three fields of systematics. So the three fields of systematics are nomenclature, classification and taxonomy. So here we will see little bit about what is nomenclature, what is classification and what is taxonomy. So nomenclature is the present scientific method of naming the microorganism, protist, fungi, plants and animals. Classification is the scientific ordering of organisms in a hierarchical series of groups on the basis of their morphological, evolutionary and other relationships. And the last one, that is taxonomy, which deals with the framing of laws and principle of classifying the organism on the basis of their evolutionary relationships, as we discussed earlier. What is meant by identification of a species? Identification is aimed at finding the correct name and the proper position of a species in the established scheme of classification. Cite two cases of sterile and two cases of fertile interspecific hybrids. So, here the first name, that is a mule. Here the mare, and here the cross between a mare and a he ash, and the hiney, which is a cross between a horse and a sea ash, are sterile hybrids, and tigon, which is a cross between a tiger and a lioness, and liger, which is a cross between a lion and tigress, are fertile interspecific hybrids. Now, what is speciation? So, formation of a new species from an existing one by the appearance of mutation is known as speciation. So, speciation occurs when two or more populations become so genetically distinct that they no longer interbreed with one another. Speciation occurs when a group within a species separates from other members of its species and develops its own unique characteristics. What is molecular homology? Similarity among the organism at molecular level. For example, similar base sequences in DNA and amino acid sequences in proteins is known as molecular homology. So, it is an important concept in modern evolutionary biology used to test the relationships between modern taxa and to examine the evolutionary process driving evolution at a molecular level. It is a rapidly changing field and one that students who wish to explore evolution should surely understand. Name the three international codes of biological nomenclature. So, three international codes of biological nomenclature are International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, and International Code of Bacteriological Nomenclature. What are correlated characters? The common features the species have to qualify for inclusion in a genus are called correlated characters. So, correlated characters are those similar or common features which are used in delimitation of various taxa. The species of one genus differ from a species of related genus in one or more characters. The reason of close similarity between species of a genus is because of their common ancestry. Now, why are the species considered dynamic groups? Sexual reproduction, a key point in the definition of a species, may produce offspring different from parent due to mutation. This may change the species with time. So, a species is considered the dynamic group because it contains the maximum number of similarities among the different organisms that help to distinguish it from other species. Moreover, when we go from kingdom to species in descending order, the specificity increases in hierarchy of classification. Why is the criterion of interbreeding not practicable for all species? Many organisms reproduce asexually and many have been known from fossils. Interbreeding is not possible in them. Why do the species included in a genus resemble in many features? All species in a genus have a common ancestry. What is meant by a revision of a group? Classifying a group of species, naming them and understanding their evolutionary relationship is revision of a group. Mention three aims of a zoological park. So, what are three aims? To increase interest in wildlife, to provide recreation and education, and to conserve endangered species. So, thank you so much. This is all about the first part of the living world. In second part, we will see some other questions related to the living world. So, if you have any questions, any queries or any suggestions, you can ask in the comment section below. Thank you for the watching.